might cause a rift or split the party, particularly after we made the big gains just over 2 years ago. And secondly, are you concerned that Jennifer Brunner is going to give up a portion of board seat?
Well, let me say that my support for Lee is in no way any indication that I do not have deep respect for and appreciation for Secretary Jennifer Brunner. Jennifer knows that I made a commitment to Lee, and that should not be a surprise. I mean, Lee was my running mate. He's my partner, and he has been my director of the Department of Development. And so early on, I indicated to Lee that I would support him, and I think I hope Jennifer understands that. And the second question was, am I concerned about the apportionment board? That is obviously a concern. That if there is not some major reframing of the way district lines are drawn in Ohio, obviously it is hugely important to me and to my fellow Democrats that we would retain control of the apportionment board. And of course the Secretary of State's office is one of those vital offices that are part of that. So that is of concern. But I believe we will have a good Secretary of State candidate. And, you know, life unfolds. And we do not know what tomorrow is going to bring. But our responsibility, mine and Lee's, and I think all of us, as political persons and leaders, is to try to be prepared to respond to the circumstances that confront us. As that happens, make the best and the wisest decisions that we can make. So I don't believe that my support for Lee is an indication of a split within our party. It's just a position that I've taken, and I think the rationale behind that decision should be well understood.
Governor, do you know who you're going to name as Director of Development?
I will be announcing very soon that the interim director will be Mr. Mark Barbash, who is with the department now, and I think many of you already know Mark. So he will almost immediately assume responsibilities as the interim director of our Department of Development.
Mark is currently the Chief Economic Development Officer of the Department of a consummate economic development professional.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. These are, as has been articulated, these are indeed perilous times economically for the state of Ohio and certainly for the country. And as a mayor of a city that understands perilous economic times in Youngstown, Ohio, I believe it's critical that the next U.S. Senator from the state of Ohio understands the intricacies and the complexities of the things that will be necessary to right this state economically. And when Ohio is doing well economically, the country will do well economically. I also just wanted to address the question as the poll you brought up in terms of identity and recognition with Lieutenant Governor Fisher. Well, that's why many of us are here today. There are 500,000 people in the Mahoning Valley and tens of thousands of people in Youngstown who may or may not be intimately familiar with Lee Fisher, but as the mayor of the city of Youngstown, they do know and have some trust and veracity in what I say. And while they may not know Lee Fisher, I know Lee Fisher. So part of my job is to make sure that I'm persuading them that this is an individual who we need in Washington, D.C. His commitment and his passion that he talked about for the state of Ohio is unmatched. So a few hours ago when he picked up the phone and asked me would I make the trip to Columbus without hesitation, knowing that I had a full schedule this evening without hesitation, I told him I would be happy and eager to come in and do whatever small part I could from the northeast section of the state of Ohio to make sure that we elect Lieutenant Governor Lee Fisher as the next U.S. Senator from the state of Ohio. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, I think Debbie and I both agree that as two female elected officials, we couldn't be more pleased to be here to support Lee Fisher for a senator. And I have to tell you that I've known Lee probably a lot longer than a lot of you have. I worked for him when you were Attorney General. and I can tell you stories, and...
Not until after the election.
Okay, all right. No, but, you know, there isn't a finer and more compassionate, more committed human being that I know for the state of Ohio than Lee Fisher, so I'm just so pleased that you're running, and I'm proud to endorse him.
Too, I'm very proud to endorse Lee. I worked for him, but as a volunteer on some of his campaigns in our region. But we are longtime supporters, as so many of you are too, and we're so happy to be here today. We met with him a few weeks ago talking about shouldn't he, and you know, what I said to him then, I say today, while we hate to lose him as our lieutenant governor, I am so proud that he will be our senator someday. And the reason for that is, I've seen him the last couple of years, economic development, which is so critical for our community and throughout all of Ohio, but I also know where his heart is on human services and social justice. And he gets it, he really gets it. So I'm so happy you made this decision, and happy to be part of your team. Thanks.